Tonight on the Night Team. Louisvillians rallying in Jefferson Square Park in support of Medicare and Medicaid protection.
And it's just not right that their benefits are being cut so drastically.
How the cuts are being felt by Kentuckiana. Plus, 2 Kentucky firefighters are in the hospital tonight with life-threatening injuries after their tanker truck rolled over. How their community is coming together in their honor. And later, Louisville Fire is telling us one family is displaced after 2 teenagers started a fire at the apartment complex, the latest in their investigation. Right now on the WHAS11 Night Team. Firefighters are in the hospital tonight after they were critically injured in a rollover crash in Marion County. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. Officials say the tanker truck was heading to help the Loretto Fire Department when it drifted off the right shoulder of KY 527. This caused the edge of the road to collapse, which is when 51-year-old Brian Hatt lost control of the truck and hit an embankment before the truck flipped. Hatt was ejected from the truck. He was then airlifted to U of L Hospital with life-threatening injuries. A passenger, 58-year-old Leonard Winkler, was trapped in the wreckage and airlifted to the University of Kentucky Hospital with serious injuries. There will be a prayer vigil for the 2 Raywick firefighters tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Raywick Fire Department. Right now, the cause of the crash is unknown. 1 adult and 2 children have been displaced after a fire broke out at their apartment building. The Louisville Fire Department responded to the fire at a 3-story apartment early this afternoon right off South 8th Street. Firefighters arrived within minutes and found a large trash fire outside the building that spread into a first-floor apartment. No one was injured inside, but 1 adult and 2 children have been displaced. A Louisville police officer also suffered from smoke inhalation and a burn and has been treated at U of L Hospital. Investigators determined that 2 kids living in the complex started the fire using a lighter found in discarded belongings. And we're following a developing story out of Cave City, Kentucky tonight. Cave City Police Chief Paul Reynolds told us today that a civil dispute in Treasure Trove Park this evening led to a man flipping cars while driving a skid steer. Chief Reynolds says the skid steer driver, identified as Roy Spiker, then fled to a home nearby where the owner of that home fired shots at him, damaging the vehicle. Spiker was then arrested and is set to appear in court on Monday. No injuries were reported. Federal cuts to Medicare and Medicaid are being blamed for an indefinite delay to an important addition at a South Louisville hospital and for cutting jobs at a local recovery center. The Night Team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Emma Gefter heard from Isaiah House today on how they're adapting to the funding cuts. Clarice?
Alex, Isaiah House started taking action and making changes in January this year before Medicaid funding cuts were set in stone by the Big Beautiful Bill. While the nonprofit makes these changes, others in Louisville are calling attention to them. A Saturday at Louisville's Jefferson Square Park.
This land is your land. This land is my land.
Where Louisvillians showed up in support of Medicaid and Medicare, health benefits that have received recent cuts. People like Pat and Judy Hartledge back the benefit programs.
Worried about people who need Medicaid, and it's just not right that their benefits are being cut so drastically.
The programs are receiving over $1 trillion of cuts through the Big Beautiful Bill. In Kentucky, there's concern, even coming from former Democratic Louisville mayor and health advocate Harvey Sloan.
If my grandchildren ask me, what did you do during the deluge of Medicare, Medicaid, I want to say, yeah, I was part of the solution.
And Congressman Morgan McGarvey.
Because when these cuts go through and there are fewer hospitals and there are fewer doctors and fewer nurses in Kentucky, everyone is going to be impacted.
Louisville is already seeing the impacts of the cuts. The opening of the birthing center at U of L's Mary and Elizabeth Hospital has been delayed indefinitely because of Medicaid cuts. The center would have brought maternity services to South Louisville for the first time in nearly 50 years. Our Isaiah Martinez spoke to Kentucky Congressman Brett Guthrie shortly after the announcement in early August. He was a part of cutbacks to the federal Medicaid program.
We're just talking about going back to 2021 numbers and still growing your Medicaid.
Reducing some of the expansions.
Well, we're still paying 90%. What we're asking the state is to pay their fair share. The state signed up for it.
Medicaid cuts have also caused layoffs for the Addiction Recovery Center, Isaiah House. About 10% of their staff have been laid off across the state, including their location in Louisville. Staff says the nonprofit stays committed to their mission, saying, quote, "While these changes have been difficult, we are confident in our ability to move forward, adapt, and continue delivering the high-quality care and support that our clients and communities depend on." Funding cuts have cost Isaiah House nearly $16 million. And Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear has also said rural hospitals in the state will struggle with these federal cuts as well. In studio, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
A high school rivalry game in Mayfield erupted in fear last night during a football game between Mayfield High and Graces County at War Memorial Stadium in Mayfield. Gunfire was heard in the parking lot. Now, shots rang out during the fourth quarter of the game, causing players, staff, and spectators to scramble for safety. The game was immediately suspended. One adult was injured and rushed to Jackson Purchase Medical Center before being airlifted to a hospital in Nashville. Local officials confirmed no students nor school staff were harmed. In response to the shooting, Mayfield Independent Schools has canceled all of their weekend activities and has arranged on-site counseling to support those who've been impacted. It is an active investigation, and officials are asking anyone with information to contact Mayfield Dispatch or Crime Stoppers. You can also text WKY to 738477. Councilmember Donna Purvis honored a Louisville trailblazer today. The corner of Winrose Way and Fairland Place now officially dedicated as Elmer Lucille Allen Way. 93-year-old Elmer Lucille Allen is the first African-American chemist at Brown-Forman, breaking that barrier back in 1966. Her impact also reaches into the arts as she helped establish the Kentucky Coalition of African-American Arts and is a founding member of the Louisville Arts Council. Nansen Craft Florist is marking a major milestone. They celebrated 175 years today. The sixth-generation family business, now with a seventh generation at work, hosted the event today to raise money for Hope Scarves and the Arrow Fund. Organizers say they raised over $1,000 and will continue to support local charities. Owner Eddie Craft says it's their way of thanking Louisville for nearly 2 centuries of support.
Hope Scarves gives out scarves to people who've come down with cancer. So they are just partners with people going through the process of chemo. And the Arrow Fund, they work with dogs that are victims of abuse. So they bring them in, get them healed, and then try to have them get adopted. So for the next 175 years, you know, flowers have been around forever. And it's just a way to express your emotions. And I think it's going to continue to be great.
Kraft tells us he sees a bright future, believing flowers will connect people for the years to come. President Donald Trump is mobilizing up to 1,700 National Guardsmen across Indiana and 18 other states. This move follows a request from governors seeking additional support to address civil unrest. Fox News reports the deployment includes personnel from multiple states, with some already arriving in affected areas. The National Guard will assist law enforcement in maintaining order and protecting public safety. That decision comes amid ongoing protests and demonstrations nationwide. Lyle Menendez has been denied parole. That just happened last night, just one day after his brother's bid was also rejected. Lyle and Eric Menendez were both found guilty of the 1989 murder of their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. They were charged and arrested back in 1990. The parole board's decision is not final, though. Jen Sullivan explains the next steps in the ongoing saga around their possible release.
A crippling blow in the brothers' fight for freedom. Eric and Lyle Menendez both denied parole this week. Friday, Lyle Menendez appearing virtually for his parole hearing, his denial coming 24 hours after his brother Eric was also denied parole. The two brothers were convicted of murdering their parents inside their Beverly Hills home. The bodies of Jose and Kitty were found with multiple bullet wounds.
They shot their parents to make it look like a mafia-style killing, shooting their dad in the back of the head. They reloaded a shotgun and shot her at point-blank range.
During Lyle's parole hearing, he said there was zero planning, and the decision to buy guns had been, quote, somewhat impulsive and for emotional protection, and also the biggest mistake. The brothers have long said they killed their parents out of fear after a lifetime of abuse and shot them in self-defense. Now in their 50s, Eric was 18 and Lyle 21 at the time of their parents' murder. They were later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In May, their sentences were reduced, making them eligible for parole. But this week, both brothers were found to be a moderate risk to public safety and denied release.
That was a caution flag to the parole board.
There will be an internal review by the full parole commission, which can take up to 120 days. Then California Governor Gavin Newsom has 30 days to reverse, approve, or modify the decision if he chooses to, but he could act sooner.
They also have a clemency petition. That's a process where the governor could step in at any time.
Even if the parole board's recent ruling stands, the brothers could get another shot at parole in 2027. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
A Louisiana community of about 800 residents was evacuated Friday after officials say a series of explosions rocked Smitty's Supply Shop, an oil and lubricants company in the town of Roseland. Firefighters are still battling this massive blaze more than 24 hours later. This drone video shows thick smoke blowing from the facility that suffered major damage. Luckily, there are no reports of injuries at this time. Officials are sending out an evacuation order for everyone within a 1-mile radius, including an elementary school.
This order is based primarily on the risk of falling debris, as well as a precautionary measure due to the ongoing and active nature of the scene.
Officials are urging people to stay indoors and wash their hands and face after any exposure to the soot. The EPA is sending out a special aircraft to test the air quality as investigators work to determine what caused the explosion.